Hey, Mayor, can you hear me? Oh, you're on mute.
How about now? Can you hear me?
I can't hear you. You're still on mute.
Okay, I'm unmuting. How's that?
Okay, let's see. You're not on mute, but I still can't hear you.
That is weird.
Um,
Okay. What if I yell? Can you hear me if I,
I can hear you. I can hear you now. We're waiting for the chairman to get on. He should be on in a couple of minutes. But thank you, everybody who's already logged on. If you can hold just a couple minutes and we'll get this started.
But you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you now.
Good.
Oh, I can hear you.
Boy.
Okay, and we still have people jumping on there. There's Carl.
Hey, I'm on.
Hey, Carl. Welcome. We still have people jumping on, so let's give it a couple of minutes and then we'll get started.
Mayor, I see you. You got a red shirt like I do.
Yeah, I don't know if you can see this. I have to stand up to show you my, I'm proud of this logo that we came up with this year in Friendswood, 125th anniversary. This is our quincentennial year.
Hey, pretty impressive.
Yeah, so, you know, we've been around a little longer than Kima probably.
So I'm glad you could join us today.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
How many are we supposed to have today?
We'll have around 30 to 40 today.
Perfect.
So we're about halfway there. We can go ahead and get started. I just want to welcome everybody. I see some new names today. We at BayTran have been hosting a webinar series this month to connect our communities and our leaders and talk about what's keeping us all together, what's connecting us, and all of the unique needs that our cities have in store. You know, we keep hearing it's an unprecedented time, and it truly is, and there's so many uncertainties moving forward. But we thank you for being here, and I'd like to introduce us. I'm Theresa Rodriguez, the president of BayTran, and I'm joined by Carl Joyner, our chairman. And today our special guest is Mayor Mike Foreman from the city of Friendswood. Mayor Foreman is also one of our board members, and we've been really excited to have him on board. And Carl, if you have anything to say.
Well, I want to welcome the mayor today. He and I have gotten to be pretty good friends over the years, and it's always interesting to see how well our neighboring Friendswood is doing. And I think it has a whole lot to do with the mayor's leadership and his council and really his staff and everything else. It seems like it's a pretty good working machine there in Friendswood. And so, Mike, I appreciate your taking time to visit with us today. So tell us about an update in Friendswood.
Well, thanks a lot, Carl. I appreciate your friendship and counsel over the years. And, you know, between you and Mayor Hallisey, I couldn't have better mayors as friends to give me guidance when I need it and keep me on the straight and narrow here. But, you know, Friendswood, we are blessed here to be living in this community, and people come up to me all the time and tell me I'm doing a great job. But, you know, I don't say that to give myself a pat on the back. I tell people that, you know, I'm just doing what they would probably do if they were mayor. You know, I mean, we have a great city staff here, and we rely very heavily on those 236 city employees that, you know, really make this city what it is and keep it operating even in the midst of this virus. You know, I'm amazed every day that, you know, we really haven't missed a beat here in Friendswood. Everything is just continuing to operate just as if, you know, nothing had happened. Of course, our public buildings are closed and our library's been closed, but we're going to open up next week. Public buildings, library, you know, I saw the numbers there. Our library book, what what do we call that, when you take a book out, checkouts are actually up. You know, the numbers are up because even though the library is closed, we have a drive-through, and we have some programs, innovative programs over there in the library where staff members are putting book collections together for students, for kids, for parents, and saying, hey, you know, these things are available. Let us know. We'll get one ready for you. Pick it up, take it out, and you know, read to your kids during this time. So a lot of great things, you know, are happening here in Friendswood, and it's not me. It's just a lot of people that you know, are doing great things in this city. But I do love having you, Carl, as a supporter, and I like being involved in BayTran. I think that's very important for our region to have an organization like BayTran. So thank you, Theresa, Madam President, for all that you do to keep, you know, the roads hopping and us moving in the right direction. No pun intended on transportation. So I jotted down a few notes. If you will allow me, I'll just go through a few things transportation related first, and then if we want to come back to questions after I talk for a couple of minutes, that'd be great. But you know, one thing I wanted to start off with is we commissioned a citywide traffic study not long ago. Within the last, I'd say, we got a report from Brown and Gay Engineering probably in the fall of last year on what they had found, and you know, they did a very thorough study, and every major intersection and thoroughfare in the city they evaluated, and they kind of gave us, you know, what level of service we're seeing at each of our major intersections, and they gave us a plan, a go forward plan on thoughts that, you know, they would implement, they would advise us implementing by 2025, 2030, and 2040. So we actually have sort of a roadmap, you know, if you will, to shoot for, to make improvements in our roads and our conveyances here, you know, our transportation needs for the next 15, 20 years. So it's great to have that, you know, to kind of shoot for, and we will keep that kind of in our line of sight, so we can make sure that we're not, you know, forgetting that we need to be working on certain things. And it is nice to have that sort of a roadmap, if you will, to just keep us moving in the right direction on our transportation issues. Second thing that I wanted to bring up, we did a pavement assessment survey a little longer ago. We did that about 2018. And our pavement assessment survey, they went down, we hired an organization, I think the company's name is IMS, and they did some kind of super high-tech evaluation of all our road surfaces, and they used sonar and, you know, some gee whiz stuff to actually penetrate the surfaces and find out what the subgrade was doing, and what needs we have on all of our roads, and where the bad roads actually are. You know, you can't always tell by just driving down a street if it's in bad condition or not. The street could look really bad on the surface, but the subgrade is really solid, and the road's going to be around for a long time, and vice versa. You know, you might see a very clean looking, you know, great looking paved road, but underneath it, it's eroding or something, and we need to work on it. So we took that study, and we basically put together a list of priorities for all of our streets. And so we are going down the list of priorities, starting with the worst streets, of course, first. And we've, since passing a street sales tax in 2016, which provides 3/8 of a cent of sales tax just for street maintenance, we have done about $6 million worth of street repair in the last 3 years or so. And we have a contract out right now for about $4 million worth of work that we're trying to finish this year. So we're enjoying that 3/8 of a cent sales tax. That, you know, believe it or not, in Friendswood, little town, 40,000 people, 3/8 of a cent generates about $2 million a year. So when I got on city council, our annual budget for street maintenance was $500,000. And so this is a big shot in the arm compared to what we were spending on street repair years ago. So unfortunately, I'll say unfortunately, because street sales tax, and by Texas state law, when you apply a portion of your sales tax to street repair, that's a sunsetting sales tax. So we are up here in November to reauthorize that. It's been on for 4 years. So we are trying to educate our citizens, and we put up signs whenever we do street repairs with that money, and let people know that, hey, you're driving on a brand new street, basically, that was repaired using the sales tax money. We hope that our voters will reauthorize that in November, because you know, once you have that money coming in, as the mayors and the city council members that are listening know, if you all of a sudden somebody pulls that away from you, it's going to be hard to find that money back in your budget again to continue that kind of. We'll never get back to $2 million a year if we didn't have the sales tax money. We could get back to $500,000 or $1 million a year in our budget maybe, but it has really been nice. And we learned from that study, you know, that pavement assessment, that we were behind in street maintenance, street repair. So we were so glad that we had that money. We have that money coming in, and we can really sort of start to head in the direction that we should have been working on over the past few years. So that's a great thing that's going on. We just, you know, help us pray for us that our voters come back and reauthorize that in November. Let me see, I talked about that. Blackhawk Boulevard, another major street here in Friendswood. We've done the work on that. That is about probably 2 miles of street between 2351 and 518 on the Harris County side of Friendswood. And we're just finishing up a 3/4 of a mile section of that street that has been redone. And voters authorized that in a bond election back 2010 or so. And so we've been working with that money, and you know, the cost of paving a street like that has gone up since we put that on the ballot way back in 2010 or so. So we're having to kind of come up with some money and apply some of our street maintenance dollars towards that to get it completed, but we're working on that and completing Blackhawk Boulevard. And you know, Blackhawk Boulevard, some time ago, I would drive down that street, and the houses sometimes don't look kind of as nice as some of the other houses in Friendswood. And lo and behold, you repave a street like that, and you make the street, put the street back in better condition, you know, like new condition. And those houses, all of a sudden, the owners of those houses, I think, kind of take a little pride in the street that they live on now, and the houses look better. So it's amazing, you know, the benefits that you see from investing in street repairs like that. So we're glad that we're doing that, of course, and that work is coming to completion here pretty soon. If not, it may already be done. Another thing that happened this past year we're really proud of is we applied for and got a grant from the Texas Department of Transportation for $3.5 million to put into our downtown area in Friendswood. And excuse me, that money is to go towards sidewalks and traffic signals. And so we have sections in downtown Friendswood there, 518, which we call Friendswood Drive, that don't have sidewalks all the way through. And so this will go to putting about an 8-foot wide sidewalk in those sections, and go from the wire, the street light hanging from the wire across the intersection to a mast arm, powder coated mast arm. So that's going to really make our downtown look better. And so we're really excited that we were awarded that grant. And so over the next few years, we'll be instituting those improvements, and it'll looking downtown will look even better, you know. And we've been working on our downtown look since I've been on city council. In fact, you know, just to go back in history a little bit, I got on city council in 2016 because I didn't think the city was paying enough attention to our downtown district, and it looked it didn't represent the city of Friendswood as well as it could. And so since then, we've made a lot of improvements in downtown, and I think our downtown is looking better. And so we'll continue that on that vein with this $3.5 million grant that we're excited to have coming in. Last but not least, I was going to touch on Friendswood Parkway, you know, which we'll eventually call it's Friendswood Lakes Boulevard. Is the road out there right now off of 518 that sort of goes towards League City, and that eventually I think we'll call Friendswood Parkway, because it will eventually tie in League City Parkway all the way to Pearland Parkway, and get people from State Highway 96 all the way up to, I don't know, Monroe Boulevard or something, you know, which is where Pearland Parkway extends into, and will be a major artery in this area to get people kind of north and south take some of the load off of 518 here in Friendswood. But we are about 100% complete, I think, with the engineering on the portion that goes from 518 towards League City. That was money for that portion of the parkway was approved by the voters in Galveston in a bond election we had, I think, November of 2018. So we've been working on the getting the rights of way, getting the developers in there that want access to those new neighborhoods that'll go in back there, to grant us permission and give us the land. And all of the engineering, I think, is about complete by the county, and they should start hopefully paving here pretty soon. And that will go all the way from 518 to just behind West Ranch neighborhood, and get us to within about, I don't know, probably 1,000 feet of League City Parkway. And then we get to our city line, and then, we have to wait for League City to extend the rest of theirs to our city limit. But that'll go through here before you know it. And we're always continuing to work on the other section, which will go from 518 north towards Pearland. And that we put on the ballot for voters last November. Unfortunately, that bond issue did not pass. So now we're kind of looking for other avenues to find money to work on that portion of the road. And we're pushing hard. We know that even our traffic study told us that, hey, the sooner you get Friendswood Parkway linking League City to Pearland, the sooner you will alleviate some of the pressure on 518. And that's going to be an escape route for people from the south part of the county during hurricanes. It'll really provide another nice means of getting out of the southern part of the county. So we're looking for other means right now. We're always talking to our legislators and asking for help any way we can. So if anybody has any great ideas, we're open to listening. And eventually we will, hopefully before I'm not the mayor here anymore, we will at least get started on that portion of, and I want to be mayor for about, geez, I don't know, what do you think, 7 more years if the voters will have me. So you're going to be stuck with me unless they vote me out for a while. So, but I'd love to see that road complete by the time I'm out of office. So I know 7 years will be over in a bat of an eye, but we're going to work hard on that. So with that, I'll stop talking for a minute, catch my breath.
Sure. Now, I did have a question because your bond measures last year, most of them did pass, and I was surprised to see specifically that the transportation and mobility one did not. What was the feedback that you got back from your constituents to why they didn't see the need to pass that?
Well, I think we put it was a tough call to make, to put so much on the ballot at the same time for Friendswood. We had never passed in Friendswood, the city had never passed more than $24 million worth of bonds in one election. And we asked the voters to approve about $77 million worth of bonds, and they approved about 52 million. Now, the biggest thing on everybody's mind after Harvey was flooding and drainage. And so 41 of that 52 million or so is going towards drainage and flooding. But yeah, we had a new community center for our seniors to use because they're busting at the seams. They're in their senior center, our community center right now. We had this transportation one for some sidewalks and some some other new streets and for Friendswood Parkway going up to Pearland. And I think voters just thought, enough is enough. I can tolerate this. I got to have drainage and flooding. I want to support the police because our police station was on there, and a new fire station, and those are the things that passed. And I think, given that Chinese menu of picking and choosing, I think voters just sort of drew a line there and said, well, and frankly, we had a few constituents come out against that, Friendswood Parkway because it backs up to a neighborhood out there that I don't really sympathize too much with, because our major thoroughfare plan has had that road going through there for eons. It's always been there. These people come in and build a development there, and now all of a sudden they want, they want their they're quiet and all that, and I understand, but you know, eventually that road's going to go through there. Come hell or high water, we'll figure out a way to get it done. So I think you know, that was sort of the feedback, was too much tax, you know, additional tax for the bonds, and a few people didn't like the idea of the noise.
Sure. Now, can we go back to the citywide traffic study? You know, you kind of outlined that there was a short-term, a midterm, and a long-term. Can you give us a little more idea of what was in any of the certain projects that were identified as pretty much immediately need to get done versus long range?
So immediate things are things like turn lanes at major intersections, farm to market road intersections like 518 and 528, 518 and 2351. You know, our traffic sometimes backs up at those intersections just because the left turn lane isn't long enough and extends into the straight through lane. So that was, you know, some of their things were sort of obvious to us that, hey, you need to sort of, you know, fix these. And if it requires, you know, knocking on TxDOT's door a little harder, or maybe the city coughing up a little bit of its own money, you know, to put towards those projects. Sometimes we find that TxDOT will answer the phone if we bring a little bit of the money, you know, with us and say, hey, will you partner with us on this? It's frankly, it's a TxDOT issue, but we want to make it happen sooner rather than later. So some of the things were pretty straightforward like that. Some of the longer term things were, you know, getting up to Pearland Parkway, which they knew, you know, is going to take a little while. So I think they put that in the 2030 range, but I'd sure like to push for it sooner rather than later. So, you know, we'll look for TIP funding and other things to try to get that going. But
how can BayTran help you advance that?
Well, I think you just help us keep pinging on the legislators and reminding them, and you know, that's going to benefit this entire region, is having that road. You jump on League City Parkway there, get off the I-45 and drive all the way back up to I-45, you know, I mean, loop through all the League City, Friendswood, Pearland, and all the way back to Beltway 8 or to, like I said, Monroe Boulevard, and get back to I-45. You know, it's going to just take the pressure off the whole region. I think it'd be a good shot in the arm, transportation.
Definitely. And, you know, we talk about these roads, and Friendswood is kind of landlocked between, what, 4 or 5 different cities. What kind of partnerships make these projects happen? How do you as a city work with the other cities to advance maybe something that extends a little bit beyond your lines?
Well, we you know, we have a great relationship with League City, you know, and always talking with Pat and John Baumgartner over there about, hey, you know, we're getting closer on this portion that's going to, Friendswood Parkway is going to abut to League City, and I think they have that on their radar. I'm not sure how soon they'll be able to come up with the money to extend it. Like I said, they got about 1,000 feet, I'm told, of right. You know, dry land where they need to extend their parkway to meet up with where we are. But Pearland, you know, is going to be maybe a little more of a challenge, because it's funny that our let's see, the Friendswood Parkway going up towards Pearland, you get to Friendswood city limits kind of out in the boonies. You know, it'd be one thing if we got all the way up there to 2351, but I don't think the route that road takes doesn't actually get all the way to 2351 until it goes into Brazoria County, and, you know, Pearland becomes responsible for that. So it may be a little bit require more talking to Pearland. I don't know. We'll have to, once we really get serious about moving in that direction, we will have to come to some agreements. Maybe the good news is that road will go right past Pearland Regional Airport, and maybe maybe that will help, because you know, they probably want an additional way to get in and out of that airport, but we'll see. But like I said, I'm really happy to have Pat Hallison as a friend, and we think alike, and I think we all want the same things for the region. So I don't think we'll have a hard time getting the road extended. all the way from 518 to State Highway 96, but maybe going the other direction, but we got a little time.
Good, good. Chairman? Carl, you're on mute.
Okay,
There you go.
sorry about that.
That's okay.
I was trying to be quiet, so I didn't interfere, but good job today, Mayor, and we appreciate this. And we're going to be working hard as an organization to work with all the area mayors, and as we prepare for the next session, and also maybe make a few trips up to talk to the TxDOT people. And so we want to be organized to where we're a force. When we come with, 15 mayors or something, we might be listened to more. And we like being in this situation, and we really appreciate your being on today and updating us on Friendswood. Like I say, I think you got things pretty well oiled there, and it's always good to hear what everyone's dreams and aspirations are as we move our area forward, because let's face it, we're a big boom to the Houston area, and we want to make sure that we're a big part of TAG and things like that, and our connection all the way up to the folks that run City of Houston and the county. So anyway, thank you for being here today. And I like your red shirt, by the way.
Thanks, Carl. Well, I appreciate you and everything you're doing with BayTran, and we're just proud to be part of the organization. And we'll have a pretty strong contingent joining the group from Friendswood, because we got a lot of council members here and a lot of city staff that want to see these things happen in our transportation world. And so you just call and we'll be there.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, Theresa.
Thanks, everybody, and we welcome you back. We aim to keep having these webinars on a weekly basis. Next week is to be announced, but for the month of June, we're looking to have Commissioner Clark from Galveston County, Judge Matt Sebesta from Brazoria County, Mayor Capetillo from Baytown, and we're reaching for Mayor Wagner in Pasadena. Hope to have him confirmed really soon. So we're going to continue these talks, and if you have any questions for our guests, just email me at president@baytran.org. We'll make sure that our guests get those, and if it's after the fact, we'll make sure you get your question answered. So thank you for your support, and we'll see you again next week.
Yeah, again, thanks for everyone joining.
Thanks,
Thank
Theresa.
you. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you,
Bye,
Chairman.
Mayor.
Thanks.